Good morning, everybody. It's Doom here, and we're in the 3.5 Monster Manual. I know, surprise, right? And we're on the Minotaur. Minotaur is a large monstrous humanoid. It's got the head of a cow and mostly the body of a human. Let's see. Looks like an incredibly tall, powerfully muscled human covered in shaggy fur with the head of a bull. Dark eyes of a brute gleam with savage fury. It doesn't say what color they have to be. It says they're more than 7 foot tall and weigh about 700 pounds. So, if we're assuming they were 7 foot tallish, the miniature I've selected might be a little large. Here is your standard sized half-elf D&D mini, and I have selected this Incredible Hulk for my Minotaur. So obviously he's going to be about an 8.5 foot tall guy. But again, interpretation, and I think we can do something with that. I think we can make a fun Minotaur. There are some things in the 3.5 Monster Manual that I do not like the design of. For example, the Mimic we did the other day was not ideal. There we go. I would like this guy to have hooves if possible, but I don't think I have any hooves big enough to replace his feet. Probably not. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to look at our cows. Oh man, that one's way too big, but that one's really good. I wonder if we can make that work. This one's head is probably the closest. This one has almost no detail. This is the same mold, actually, but it has more detail. When you use an injection mold, over time, it does lose detail. And this one's got an eye and a mouth, and it's not the worst. We could try this one out and see what we can do with it, though. Ooh, that head went flying, dude. So let's take Hulk's head and remove that and kind of dry fit this here and see what it looks like. It's actually too small. So let's try a step up. The detail on this one is lacking for sure. We can try it though. All right. I am not hating that, but let's see what else we can do. Let's try this head. This head's going to be a bad word to snip off. There's a lot of cleanup on this head that would have to happen to make it work. A lot of cleanup. Well, before we dedicate any time to fixing that up, let's look at if we can make that head work on this body. Yeah, I think that actually it's a little big, a little cartoony even, but I think we can make that one work. All right, let's clean it up and take a look at it. First, let's get these silly horns off it. We don't want to ruin that spot where the horns are mounted. We can reuse that spot. This side, the mold was so bad that it didn't even print the horn, or didn't even mold the horn. It was probably plugged up, and they're just mass producing these, you know. A lot of gross spots on here. Let's get a knife. Giant mold line down the bottom of them. On harder plastics, you can kind of use the back of these blades as long as they're relatively sharp and you can get a good, like you can really get in here and kind of like scrape it loose. So like if you were to buy like model kits or like Games Workshop sets and stuff, often the back of this blade until it gets worn down from overuse. It's super good for this mold line removal. But again, safer to use than the blade, because you're, generally kind of doing something like that. Now, on the softer plastic, have had a lot more luck using the blade side. It's just kind of unfortunately, if you have to do cleanup work, you have to do cleanup work. I try not to if I can, though. But this was such a big sculpt that had some serious wonky problems. So I do like that head better for sure. So what I want to do is I want to get a dab of glue here. And I want to get that head kind of where I want it. And then I'm going to add some extra glue up here to start bridging that gap. We're going to do some fill-in work, okay? I'm going to set that off to the side and let that cool. And let's get a base going. I don't know where it is where you are, what day of the week it is, but for me it's Saturday. And I needed a break. It has been a long week. There's a funny thing that happens. People say like, oh, it was a long day. And I get smart and I say, oh, really? All my days are 24 hours. Wow, that sucks. How'd that happen? And the truth is, we all have long days, long weeks, sometimes long months, and I hope not, but long years. Man, I really think we need hose for this to make it look better. Can we snip those feet off and mount a decent looking hoof, though, is the question. All right, let's think about this. What kind of big plastic piece do I have that we can make a hoof out of? I'm thinking thoughts. Let's see what we can do here. This tail is pretty thick. So, oh, this is a mistake, Doom. All right, I'm not doing it. As much as I think it would look better, I'm not going to risk it. It's just not worth it messing up. Because I don't have a whole bunch of these like Hulk-like thick guys left. I have some. I don't have a bunch. I need to grab a spoon. Because my spoons got bad damage. I struggle with using the yellow pieces for bases sometimes because I can't really see always where the glue goes unless it's in natural light. So when the day comes and there's garage light flowing in here, it helps me see. But I'll tell you what, man. Sometimes when I'm down here, 5 in the morning like this, couldn't sleep, decided to get a video knocked out. Good and sturdy. All right, let's set that off to the side. Toss a lid on there. We need to start kind of filling this in. Bridging that gap. And we're just going to make sure that we don't leave any enormous lumps that we can't live with later or melt off or fix. And we just kind of want to fill in these gaps. And then what I want to do for mine is, because I feel like with just hot glue, I feel like we have enough surface area that we can get a pretty serious bond. So what I'm doing is dragging this down into all the grooves and cracks and across the muscles, and trying to make it look a little bit like hair as we go. It says they're covered in hair, and I'm not sure if we can really do that with the whole miniature without losing too much detail. But I am confident that we can do it on part of him, like his shoulders and chest and back could be hairy. And there's an awful seam on this HeroClix's arm. So we want to drag that hair look the best we can. Definitely onto the, cover that up. Okay, we'll let that cool and we'll come back and add some more glue there. Now we need some horns. I don't know what to use. Something for horns that's got to be a little curved. What could we use? La 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 la. Ooh. Some dino tails, maybe. Alright, these dragons. No. Nothing great on those to use, it looks like. Alright. We got that guy's tail. And where's the other one that had the broken tail? I don't think we can make that work. La 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 la, looking for antlers in all the wrong places. Horns. You, sir, may be a candidate as a horn donor. Oh man. Oh well. So, from the parts box, I have recovered this crazy dude who was like this super bad Minotaur that came in like some little Fantasy Direct set or some sort. It was another one of those impulse. I saw somebody, well, it was Dave O'Gara, review them, and I'm like, oh man, I've been needing those. And I did not, in fact, need those. And very little out of that set that I get use out of. But it is what it is. So this plastic is incredibly cheapy. And these are just not, I mean, that looks like it's just, you know, anyways, No disrespect to their toy line. They're toys, not official miniatures of any sort. And from a guy who makes miniatures out of whatever the hell I can find laying around, I really don't feel like I'm qualified to talk shit on anybody's sculpts. You know what I mean? So I'm just letting him cool down a little bit more because I want to do some more work across that back. I'm going to get the minor burning hand smell out and just get some of those little bit of spider webs. There wasn't much this time. I lucked out. And I'd like to toss a small rock or two on this base just to make it a little more interesting while we're here. Maybe that. Okay. La 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 la. All right, so I'm gonna come back here now and start working into that glue a little bit and try to get some fur texture going the best I can. I'm going to come back and touch up some of the areas where I already put the fur. And then I'm going to come up here. And where that is touching, the glue is holding the horn onto the head. There's some globbage there. We're just going to pull that globbage into the rest of it. And then we want to make sure we have a really solid seat for these horns because they're going to be soft as it is. So to fix that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn him upside down. And I'm going to start in the where the horn attaches on the bottom portion. I'm going to just kind of glue that lightly. And sprinkle those just to add a little bit of strength. And I'm doing a real light sprinkling. And then I'm going to come on the top and do the same thing. Dragging it a little bit onto the head as I do it. And I'm going to do a very light sprinkling because I just want to sturdy these up. I do not want to change the shape of these much. I just want to make sure they don't come loose. And I don't want them to be as soft and wiggly plastic as they are. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. Are any of you still intact? You guys are still intact. You guys have all become part pieces. All right, letting him sit for a moment, then we'll come back and take a look at him and make sure he's ready to get painted. Really wish I'd done the hooves thing. Didn't work out. That's okay. Not everything works out. I think in traditional Greek, or I think it was Greek because it was Crete, yeah. And in traditional Greek lore, the Minotaur may or may not have been fur covered. We don't know. But in D&D it says he's fur covered. And I'm not going to go through and fur cover the entire model and lose all my detail, like I said. But I'm going to come in and do one last little bit of cleanup work on that. I'm trying to make that look like a fur texture. And we'll see when the model's painted more better, not more better. We will see when the model is painted more clearly if we succeeded on that. And that's just one of those things like making hair on models. It comes from doing it, practicing it, you know, stuff like that. All right, that's parts. Where do I have cows and stuff? Hello, cows. You go in this mammal box that's not horses. All right. So there is the rough draft of our Minotaur. Let's hope he looks good. When we come back in part 2, he's going to be base coated and primed, not base coated. And then we're going to paint him up and see what we can get out of this model. And hopefully we can get a good look. It would be nice if he had an axe. And we can do that. We have the technology. It takes time. It takes a few minutes. So if you don't want yours to have an axe, you don't have to have one right now. Just for easier, it doesn't really matter. I got plenty of space here to work. All right, let's make an axe. So to start out to make the axe, I'm just going to grab a toothpick. Okay. I'm going to get my baking soda back out. And I'm going to snip this off here. And I'm going to make the bottom of his axe like that. And I'm just going to get a tiny dab of glue from my hot glue gun. And I'm going to stick that down here. to hold it in place. And I'm going to try to clean that up a little bit. Then I'm going to get my super glue. And you could pin something like this. I'm not going to. You could drill a hole in his hand and then shove it in that hole, is what I mean by pin. You could. I'm not doing that. All right, so for the top part of his axe, I want to get an idea how long I want it to be. I'm going to get a dab glue. You're always fighting surface tension when you're using stuff like this, and that is not ideal. Okay, so again, we don't want to lump his fist up, so we're just going to use it very lightly, so we're not adding a bunch of shape to his hand. All right, look at that, it's pretty sturdy. Now I'm going to get the minor burning hand spell, and we're going to remove that spider web that we created there. And let's figure out our axe head. So traditionally, I just kind of take chunks of a coffee can lid or whatever plastic, and I get a axe head shape that I like. And to do that, I just cut out something like that to start with usually. And then I come back in and refine it more into the shape I want. So what I'll do with this one is I'll just do that. And maybe he has kind of a bearded axe look. This axe is a little big, that's okay. And I'm going to take that back a little bit more. And I'll just whittle it till I get it kind of the shape I want. And I want something like that. I'm just going to get Dibby Dab of glue. Dibby Dab is a very small amount. And I'm going to get that and drag it around until it's held in place how I want it. Okay, so I want my axe to be like that, like he's currently swinging it. Now I'm going to assume this dude's axe is not like a pristine and beautiful axe. I'm going to assume it needs some work and that it's not been well maintained and taken care of because he's this crazy Minotaur and not a super craftsman. So I'm going to drag glue all around that like that. And then I'm going to pull that glue real thin and get it onto the stick part. Okay. And I'm going to come over to my box, sprinkle a little bit to connect it there. And then I'm just going to, from a higher height, sprinkle a little bit onto the blade. Okay. I don't want this to create a real thick layer, but I want it to give it some texture to where this is like a corroded or oxidized kind of. All right, let's take a look at them now. We got a spider web here. Then I'll just use the minor burning hand spell to pick that up. There we go. And there we go. That's what we wanted. Something like that for our Minotaur. So anyways, I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to watch and hang out with me here. I know that I have been, apparently I give off some Bob Ross vibes, and I'm good to go to sleep too, which was never my intent. I'm like, man, I'm a hardcore bang out crafting channel, but I'm not. Apparently, I'm Bob Ross. I'm old man Bob Ross that does miniatures. So, anyways, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Seriously, it's a big deal. We're coming up on 400 subscribers. I didn't think I was going to hit 50. So to me, guys, this has been a phenomenal deal. Like, I really was just like, there's poor people out there that need to learn how to do stuff, or people that are cheap, or people that just can't get in on this buyout for how expensive minis are. And I was in that boat, and I still kind of am to an extent. And if if I wasn't half of Dungeon Swag, I wouldn't have as many minis as I have for damn sure. I just wanted to give people an opportunity, for the people that I thought would be interested, which I didn't assume would be a whole bunch. And how big the channel's gotten for me, it's really unreal, because I'm not like anybody fancy. I'm just a dude in my basement. So again, I really appreciate you guys' time that you take to spend with me. So please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell icon, share it if you feel so compelled. Leave me a comment. I do like comments a lot. Like, I really, really like comments. It's stupid how excited I get. Even if it's a dumb comment, I'm just like, oh, I got a comment. And maybe Mrs. Doom's not as excited about the comments as I am, but I love them. And she doesn't look at my YouTube stuff anyways. I don't even know if she watches my videos. So join us on Discord and on our website, and maybe buy some minis. And to do that, those links are in the description. And we'll see you next time when we paint up the Minotaur. Thanks for watching.